This is TWiT.
We did get a blog post right before the show that talked about the next dev channel build, which came out today. And it didn't mention anything about, like, is this 21H2? Is it 21H1? Is it none of the above? It's just like, hey, guys, we have some new features. Here they are. One of them is this new thing called the News and Interests app that's going to be accessible directly from your taskbar, and you just will be able to see like weather and all the news stories you want to see right from the taskbar. And I was like, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
No, I was looking for something to take up more space on the taskbar. Yeah.
I know.
So
I was surprised about this, right? Okay, so they're adding this to the taskbar. You can shut it off by right-clicking in the taskbar and shutting it off.
But why?
Which is good.
Why?
Right. You know why? I know why. Although the post says the reason they're doing this is they don't use the word flow, but the idea is you stay in your flow and you don't have to load the MSN app, to see your news feed and your weather. You can just get it right from clicking on the widget in your taskbar, so that it's way easier and faster, right?
Yeah,
but that's not really why. And also, that's not why, right?
So
why?
Right. Here's the why, though. My theory on the why. So there's a team at Microsoft called the Web Experiences team. In this team, you've got Bing, Edge, MSN, content services, and advertising. Why do you think they might be adding a news app?
They better not put ads in the task.
So right now they say there is no advertising happening in this app. But will that be forever is my question. Like, it's not there now, but I don't know.
There's some troubling stuff here to me. First of all, as far as I'm concerned, this thing is like the ghost of Creators Updates past. I mean, I felt like we learned a lesson from these features that nobody wanted and nobody used and they had to get rid of later. And it was just a big mistake. And we spent 2 years kind of coasting and not adding new features. And it went really well, overall. It really did. I think this is what most Windows users want. They want to get to work. But the problem is the pandemic happened. And Microsoft and PC makers, I've spoken to a bunch of them for CES coming up soon, have all talked about how this increased engagement on the PC side. I think they're seizing the moment, and I think Mary Jo's right. I mean, this is an MSN/Edge/ advertising play. And I just want to read this direct quote because I was really, really concerned about this one bit. And I can't find it. Reading my own
in today's blog post, you mean?
Yeah. Well, what it basically said was,
would you call this a carpe per diem?
Yeah, nice. So Microsoft says that this feature uses the Microsoft Edge controls for limiting tracking from advertisers and third parties. Limiting?
Right.
How about
now you're saying the taskbar is going to track me?
About?
I think Mary Jo
it literally says limiting.
Mary Jo nailed it. This is.
I think I did.
This is. Oh God. Well.
So right now they're very upfront. They told me because I asked about advertising. No advertising is part of this strategy right now. But what about later? When it rolls out to the mainstream?
Did they say? But did they actually say right now? Or
advertising?
Did you add that?
No, they said Microsoft News and Interest feed will be an ad-free experience, but I'd like to say,
hold on,
for how long?
No. We gotta. Sorry, I'm sorry. We got to be clear about this. The feed itself is not the entirety of what you're doing here, right?
No.
When you see a news story that you want to learn about off of MSN
you click
News,
on it. Yeah.
There's absolutely going to be advertising there.
Yeah, for sure.
So what they're saying is the interface the little sheet that comes up or whatever doesn't have. Of course. Well, I shouldn't say of course, but
it's to generate
the Xbox dashboard.
Yeah.
That has ads.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the start menu.
Good point.
Doesn't have ads in between the tiles, right? Like block ads like you'd see on the web or something. I mean, there are technically ads in the start menu in different places, but they're not doing that kind. They're not doing web style ads, right?
Right.
But if you want to see more about any one of those things, there are questions. First of all, what browser does it open in? Will it always go to Edge or will it go to your default browser? And regardless,
I guess Edge.
It's well, we'll see. I mean, hopefully they don't make that stupid mistake, but. Wherever you go, there are going to be ads. Of course there are. This is not like get your news through this thing and you'll never see ads like that. Okay.
No.
Like that might be abuse.
I know. Yeah.
But that's not how this works.
No, and the other reason they're doing this, in my view, again, they don't say it like this, but they're trying to blur the lines between enterprise and home, right? And they want people, like just like with Teams, they want people to think of it as a continuum, right? And the way you do that is you introduce experiences into the OS that are like things you do in your quote off time, free time, right? Browsing your news and looking at your weather is stuff like that.
So look, honestly, I think all of us would probably agree. The truth is we do blend our work and personal lives.
Right, we do. Yeah.
If this past year has taught us anything, we're doing it a lot more probably than we used to because we're all working from home. So there was a reality to that. Mm-hmm. But, I one of the things I liked about Windows 10 conceptually when they first came up with it, almost 6 years ago now, or actually about 6 years ago, when they told us about it, before it came out, was this sort of return to prominence of like traditional PC form factors and this focus on productivity, because we're doing more and more stuff on our phones, Yeah. And any one of us, all of us right now are probably sitting in front of a computer and our phone is right there. And it is not a hard exercise to pick that thing up, see what the weather says, look at the news feed or whatever it is you're doing, go to Twitter and kind of keep this computer thing focused on what matters work-wise, right? The productivity stuff. In some ways, that separation, I think, is healthy, But regardless, it doesn't matter what I think about it. The truth is we're all very used to doing that. And I don't know that this makes life easier for anything. Yeah. Frankly.
So what's been interesting on Twitter since they announced this at 1 Eastern today, so like an hour before the show. Yeah. And watching people's reactions to this on Twitter is super interesting. For one thing, it seems to go very much age-wise as to whether people like it or don't. Like younger people are like, yeah, this is awesome, right? And I'm like, no, this is terrible. Wow. I'm like, wait, I don't want this. And luckily, by right-clicking on Taskbar, I can turn it off. But I see other people saying, Panos, more of this. Like Daniel Rubino was like, Panos, keep doing stuff like this. I'm like, no.
Daniel, what are you thinking, Daniel?
I know. I'm like, Daniel. And
Daniel's thinking he's going to get in good with Panos is what Daniel's saying. But
no, if the news app was something I liked, maybe I would be more interested in it. But every time I go to the MSN news app, it's all stories about celebrities. It's like Yahoo News, right? And I'm like, I hate this kind of a news app. And you can customize it, but it's still just not the kind of place I would go to get news.
Yeah. So this is the other issue, right? So MSN News is the feed that you kind of get in Microsoft Edge. You can disable it. You have to really go find it, right? There's a way to do it. Yeah. The problem is you move to the next computer and you sign into Edge and it goes right back to the beginning. Like you have to go do all that stuff over and over again. There are so many features in Windows 10 that are not synced so that you have to manually disable things every single time you go to a new computer. Now, I know most people probably don't do that a lot, but it is proper that you can turn this thing off because God knows the last thing we need is yet another thing taking up space somewhere in the Windows UI. But there is an incredible list of things you have to disable manually if you care about these things when you sign into Windows for a new PC for the first time. And that's a whole chapter in the book that I wrote. I mean, it's about getting rid of all these annoyances. Like this is yet just another thing, for us.
But you know what they're counting on? They're counting on quote normal users to not think they can turn it off, right? Like they'll just like my mom will see that and she'll be like, oh yeah, I guess that's a new thing in Windows. Like she'll never say to me, how do you turn that off? And you'll never just automatically discover how to turn it off. Neat. Right. Yeah. I mean, so
there are approximately.
No, I was just gonna say that's what you count on as Microsoft. Like you count on making it hard to switch search engines in Edge so that people won't switch them.
That's a terrible business strategy. You're correct. I mean, first of all, you were right. I just want to be really clear about that. You are right. And but if your business strategy is like we're going to annoy you and hope you don't turn it off, like I just feel like you're on the wrong side of something, history, whatever. But I also the other thing you said earlier about young people liking it and older people not liking it, it's scary to me because that's exactly the kind of incentive Microsoft wants. If that's how it plays out, that younger people seem to love it, they're going to be like, great, let's indeed do more of this.
But you know what? There's got to be there has to be, and I'm guessing this is going to happen. There's going to be a group policy way for companies to shut that off, right? Because companies aren't going to want people to have that, right?
I'm just more concerned for people,
I know.
because there are individuals who really don't want this stuff. And by this stuff, I don't just mean this. There's all kinds of stuff. There's more new stuff. There's a Meet Now button being added to Windows too, right? If you don't want any of that, it's a lot of work. And again, I guess I'm unique. I mean, I know I bring up more computers every year than anybody, but I wish this stuff would just be part of a personal group policy thing where, but you disabling it means it's off. Like it's off forever off,